Welcome to episode 29 of Gods and Heroes of Ancient Greece. My name is MyLinda Butterworth, and today we will continue with the epic tale of Heracles, with the story of Heracles in the service of Omphale. Although Heracles had been mad when he killed Iphitus, the murder weighed heavily on his spirit. He wandered from one priest-king to another in search of purification, first to Neleus of Pylos, then to Hippocoon, king of Sparta. Both of them refused to be of any service. But the third, Delphi, king of Omphale, consented to purify him of his crime. Nonetheless, the gods punished him by afflicting him with a grave illness. The hero, used to have lusty health and splendid strength, could not endure the wasted disease they sent upon him. He went to Delphi in hope that the Pythian's oracle might heal him, but the priestess withheld her utterance from the murderer. This angered him so that he stole her tripod and carried it out into the field and set up his own oracle. Infuriated by this bold infringement of his rights, Apollo appeared and challenged the hero to single combat. But this time, too, Zeus did not want brother to shed brother's blood, and he put an end to it by flinging a bolt of thunder between the two of them. And now, at last, Heracles was told that he would be freed from affliction if he were sold into slavery for a period of 3 years, and in atonement for his crime gave the price he brought to the father whose son he had slain. Heracles was too weak from his illness that he had to submit to the harsh decree. With a number of his friends he sailed to Asia, and then one of them, with his consent, sold him to Omphale, daughter of Iardanus, the queen of a country which at that time was known in Macedonia and later as Lydia. In obedience to the oracle, the seller set the price he had received for Heracles to Eurystus, and when he refused it, gave it to the children of slain Iphitus. Immediately, Heracles was healed. In the first flush of recovered strength, he began to act the hero, even though he was Omphale's slave, and resumed his role of benefactor of mankind. He punished all the robbers who were troubling the domains of his mistress and her neighbors. He slew parts of Serapis and lived in the region where Iphitus, and did great damage by plundering the countryside, and some he brought to Omphale in chains. King Silas and Aulus, a son of Poseidon, who captured travelers and forced them to work in his vineyards, he struck down with a spade and dug out all his vines by the roots. He razed the ground of the city Itones, who time after time had invaded Omphale's territories and enslaved all the inhabitants. In Phrygia, Lytirsus, a natural son of Midas, was playing malicious pranks. He was a man of great possession, and courteously invited all strangers who passed through his estates to be. After the evening meal, he compelled them to work at his harvest, and if they failed to surpass him, he cut off their heads. Heracles killed this evildoer and flung him into the river Meander. On one of his expeditions, he came to the island of Daulic, saw a lifeless form that had been washed ashore by the waves. It was the body of Icarus, who, on his flight from the labyrinth of Crete, had come too close to the sun with the wings his father had made for him, and had fallen into the sea. Filled with compassion for him, Heracles buried the boy, and in his honor named the island Icaria. In return for this, the artist Daedalus, father of Icarus, erected a statue of Heracles, a marvelous likeness, in Pisa. Once, when the hero arrived there at nightfall, the statue seemed alive in the dim light. His own heroic pose looked at him like the threatening gesture of a foe. He picked up a stone and shattered the beautiful monument which his friend had reared to commemorate his kindness. The chase of the Caledonian boar also took place during the time Heracles was Omphale's slave. The queen admired the value of her servant and divined that she had in her household a hero of world-wide fame. After she had learned that he was Heracles, the son of Zeus, she not only restored his liberty in recognition of his merit, but made him her husband. In the sumptuous life of the Orient, Heracles forgot the teachings virtue had once given him in the crossroads. He became voluptuous and effeminate, and Omphale took great delight in humiliating him. She draped herself in his lion skin, but had him robed in soft garments the women of Lydia wear. And so great was his blind passion for her that he obeyed when she bade him sit at her feet and spin whirl. The neck, which had once supported the burden of Atlas and found it light, now bore a woman's necklace of gold. Bracelets set with jewels clasped his sinewy arms. Its uncut locks flowed over his shoulders from under a Lydian headdress, and long and dainty folds veiled his splendid limbs. He sat among the Ionian maids with the distaff before him, spinning the frail thread with his lean and muscular fingers, and feared the reproof of his mistress when he failed to finish the work set for him that day. But when she was in good humor, this man in woman's attire had to tell her and her handmaids the exploits of his glorious youth, how he had strangled serpents with his childish hands, how, as a stripling, he had slain the giant Geron and struck off the deathless heads of Hydra, and how he had wrested the hound of hell from the very depths of the underworld. The women delighted in the tale of his deeds, as children take pleasure in the stories their nurses tell them. When his years of service to Omphale were over at last, Heracles awoke from his infatuation. Full of disgust, he stripped himself of women's gear, and it cost him only a brief effort to become himself again. The strong son of Zeus, filled with heroic resolves, in his new freedom he decided to take revenge on his enemies. Well, here I end my tale for today, but I'll be back tomorrow with more tales, many more tales. Until then, my friends, enjoy the journey.